International Day of Conscience serves as a reminder of the importance of self-reflection, ethical decision-making, and the collective responsibility we all share, yes, you and me, in shaping a just and compassionate world. Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry. Stay with us as we flip through these informative and engaging magazine pages.
The Transport Authority for this renewal period has launched its online application system, and we at the St. James Taxi Association has found it to be very, very helpful. It saves time, it saves money, and it has also improved the service delivery to our membership. I want to encourage other associations out there who may for some reason be a little bit reluctant to come on board, get online, and increase the service to your membership. It's easy. ta.org.ja. Time is money. Renew online, save time. I am Deon Chance and I endorse this message.
Thanks for staying with us. Innovation and infrastructure. Two things the government has placed high on its priority list to be driven by the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport. Stick around to discover the budget allocations designed to get these initiatives in motion.
From groundbreaking scientific advancements to sustainable energy solutions and optimized transportation, the future is unfolding at an accelerated pace in the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport. In the 2025-2026 financial year, the ministry has been allocated $29.98 billion for recurrent expenses and $4.51 billion for capital projects, with a revenue target of $892.32 million. Modernizing and expanding the field of scientific research and development is among the ministry's priority focus areas. Two entities lead that charge: the Scientific Research Council and the International Center for Environment and Nuclear Sciences. For ICT development, access and use, $2.58 billion has been set aside. This includes funding for both the tablets in schools and national broadband initiatives. The Universal Service Fund, which manages both these programs, is also receiving $300 million to offset operational costs. The government is powering up its commitment to energy sustainability with $1.89 billion. To keep the nation's electrical infrastructure running efficiently, $192.88 million will be channeled into electrification services, ensuring robust oversight by the government electrical regulator.
There have been challenges, but with perseverance to date, we have seen house wiring completed for 2,403 houses in 19 communities.
A surge of $1.43 billion will energize key energy management initiatives. Of this, $1 billion will illuminate the path toward energy accessibility, funding the regularization of informal electricity users, house wiring, and system inspections.
We are well underway to be meeting the requirement that has been tasked to us in relation to the 50% renewables by 2030.
Driving the shift toward a cleaner, greener grid, $265.16 million has been allocated to support administration of the National Energy Policy. This investment also includes $120.69 million for the agency mandated to develop and implement the procurement of new generating capacity. Capital investment is also going into this area, with $1.31 billion to be invested in a transformative capital project aimed at enhancing energy sustainability. It will finance the installation of HEPA purifiers in 20 government facilities and 6 hospitals. Phase 4 of the National Integrated Energy Plan will also be completed and energy-efficient lighting installed in 50 public buildings.
Education and enforcement go hand in hand. Therefore, as we build the capacity of our motorists and road users, we ensure that the laws are effective.
Keeping the public informed on transport matters come with a $154.77 million spend. That adds to $26.2 million set aside for the National Road Safety Council's interventions. To drive the broad development of the transport sector, the ministry is putting $217.94 million into policy formulation and sector growth. This includes $136 million sourced from traffic ticket fines. Administration of the Road Traffic Act continues with an allocation of $12.12 billion. From that sum, $1.13 billion is to support the operations of the Island Traffic Authority. The agency facilitates the examination of vehicles and testing of applicants for driver's licenses. The Transport Authority, which serves as the licensing agency for public and commercial vehicles, gets an operating budget of $900 million. And operating expenses for the Toll Road Authority will be covered with a $77.83 million disbursement, most of it to be earned from monitoring fees under the Jamaica North-South Highway Project Concession Agreement.
We have purchased 100 new CNG buses for the improvement of public transportation for the first time in modern Jamaica, and we have done so without any external financing or any needs for loans.
And the government will do it again as another 100 buses are set to hit the road through an allocation of $3.2 billion in the capital budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. For the overall management and functionality of the state-owned bus company, the JUTC, $10.96 billion is allocated. Montego Bay Metro is also budgeted $296 million to offset operating expenses. To support the development of shipping and the regulation of merchant shipping and seafarers, $806.87 million will be spent. This will support the Maritime Authority of Jamaica MAJ's regulatory work. And the ministry is soaring to new heights with the allocation of $8.6 billion for transport management and services for civil aviation. The provision includes $125 million to upgrade air-to-ground radio network and the MEVA 3 network. The Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport is driving forward with bold investments and strategic initiatives, ensuring a future powered by innovation, sustainability and efficiency.
Are you an entrepreneur producing an excellent Jamaican product or service? Did you know you can earn hard currency and more significant returns by exporting? Contact the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce to help propel your business along the export lane.
Everything you can produce, the Jamaicans overseas want it. We're not going to get rich by just bringing down the debt. We're going to get rich by exporting a lot more. So grow exports, create job opportunities, drive economic growth through exports to make Jamaica a richer and much more prosperous country.
As we strive toward the collective ideal of making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business, the government has introduced some tax relief measures for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Let's take a look.
During the new fiscal year, we will bring to Parliament legislation for micro-insurance. Not every Jamaican can afford the premiums for traditional insurance sold here in Jamaica, and so we have to meet the people where they are. Microinsurance legislation has been talked about, but I give my commitment that microinsurance legislation will be passed in this new fiscal year. As a government, we listened to the new car dealership industry. They said that 100% bond on the duties they pay ties up too much of their capital. Jamaica imported some 50,786 motor vehicles worth $81 billion in 2022. And if you look at the duties are between 67 to about 88% of the value. And if you assume the lowest duty, you can see that the capital tied up against the duties is significant. We listened to the industry, and now, instead of 100% bond against the duty, we have reduced that to 20%. In order to continue the innovation in our financial sector, we will quickly pass the Virtual Asset Service Provider Bill legislation, a critical piece of legislation which is not just a regulatory necessity, but an economic imperative for the future of Jamaica. The bill represents a pivotal step in modernizing our financial sector, ensuring our compliance with international financial regulations, and positioning Jamaica as a leader in fintech innovation within the Caribbean. Jamaica must pass this Virtual Asset Service Provider Bill to ensure compliance with the Financial Action Task Force, FATF recommendations 15 and 16. Our financial system must meet global standards on anti-money laundering, AML, counter-terrorism financing, CFT, and the prevention of proliferation financing, PF. The income tax, large-scale projects and pioneer industry will be repealed and replaced as a means of updating the legislation to ensure that it is fit for purpose. The work is significantly advanced for this. Given the vast economic benefits that the Act is intended to achieve for Jamaica, it is imperative that the Act finally be operational so that the country can reap the rewards from the framework that it established to support large investments and economic development. There is one investment that is waiting for this Act to be passed, and that is the Harmony Cove Limited Development Project. This investment in Jamaica will be $1 billion. We will bring this legislation to Parliament before the end of this fiscal year. We are pleased to announce that there will be one rate for resident and non-resident companies and individuals of 15%. I want to say to Jamaicans, when you hear non-resident companies and non-resident individuals, don't immediately think foreign companies or foreign individuals. They may also be companies registered abroad that are owned by Jamaicans. This benefit is one way to say to those Jamaicans who have companies abroad in jurisdictions with lower dividend tax rate than what currently prevails. We are saying to them, we are lowering the rate for you. Bring your capital back to Jamaica. This government will increase the threshold to $2 million. We'll increase the threshold in 3 tranches to 1.8, then 1.9, then 2 million over a 3-year period starting April 1, 2025. What a deal! What a government!
Success begins with knowledge and preparation, even in farming. This next feature offers invaluable tips for new farmers focusing on crop production.
Farming is a way of life, especially here in Jamaica. Today, an increasing number of young people are getting involved.
Back then, persons used to look down on agriculture based on the stigma that agriculture is for a particular group of persons. But I am proud to say that that stigma has been reduced significantly. So no longer is agriculture a last option. It's a primary option where persons are now interested in pursuing even studies at the master's level in agriculture.
Getting started in agriculture can be tricky, so there are a number of things new farmers need to be aware of.
For young persons who would like to get involved in agriculture, the first thing I would say to them, they have to first assess their interest. Agriculture is a very wide industry with different sectors, and so they first need to look at, do I have an interest in crop production or animal production?
Crop production is the process of growing produce for domestic and commercial purposes, whereas animal production is the technology applied to keeping animals for profit. You know, feeding, rearing, and breeding. That's just the basics. So for the next few minutes, we'll learn more about getting started in crop production.
We at RADA, and the field staff particularly, when we are engaged about young persons getting into farming, when they approach us, one of the main things we want to emphasize is about training. A lot of persons who want to venture into agriculture, and they see it as something that they can get into without getting that technical knowledge, because it's easy to go and get the land, prepare and sow the seeds and all of that. But there's a lot of other issues you have to consider. You have to consider the pest and the disease control. As you say, you have to look at the weather condition, you have to look at the type of crop. Different crop require different environmental conditions. Two major things we also emphasize to new entrant farmers is we look at the markets. Don't just jump into production without thinking about your market. I know it's sort of tempting for a lot of persons when prices are high and it look very nice, and you can get a lot of income. But that's not always the case. Because by the time you put in that crop, the price is usually, and the crop come in, the price is usually low. So we look at the market. And another thing, we look at the cost of production. A lot of new entrant farmers, they want to get into production without looking at what it costs to produce a crop. That is very important, because that is how you can determine if you are able to make a profit based on how you estimate your costs and your market price and all of that. So we emphasize the cost of production. So those are some of the things we emphasize to new entrant farmers.
So there are different options such as agro-processing that young persons can venture. So you don't have to be looking at agriculture as going in the sun, sweating. You can still do that practice. That's the traditional practice. But there are some contemporary practices that involves technology, such as hydroponics and aquaponics. And so young persons can look at that option as well. So don't picture a farmer as this person in dirty clothes, this person riding a donkey. Some of the farmers know they are driving the biggest vehicle you can think of, and they live in the best household that you can think of. Another thing that you need to do is to partner with RADA, in particularly the agri-linkages, to help you seek possible markets before you venture into the field of agriculture. And what you can also do is to do a SWOT analysis. When I say a SWOT analysis, once you identify your interest, you're going to be now looking at your strengths, assess the strengths, you're going to assess the weaknesses and how you can overcome them. You're going to look at the opportunities that exist, and you're now going to be looking at the threats. So One of your threats could be your, I wouldn't say competitor, because in agriculture, I don't want to give the impression that we are competing. We're all in this thing together. But there are some threats such as disaster. How can you bounce back, or how can you mitigate certain effects? So a SWOT analysis is very important when you're looking at agriculture as a young person.
With all that information in mind, get started with your research. Start farming, as you can help to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business by growing what we eat so we can eat what we grow.
I want to get rid of that stigma that is attached to agriculture. And I want persons to understand that if we don't have farmers, we won't have any people. So where there's no food, the people will perish. So look at agriculture as a business and not as a traditional, disregarded occupation. It's a very lucrative, very vibrant occupation that you should all think of.
Special children require extra special parents. Up next, we go into the archives to revisit the inspiring journey of Alex Fraser, a child with special needs, and the supportive role of the Early Stimulation Program and his mother.
Meet Alex Fraser. He's a 10-year-old student of Dunrobin Primary School in Kingston. He's just like most other boys his age. He loves to play football, hang out with his friends, and play computer games. The only major difference, he cannot walk like most other boys his age. Alex was born with spina bifida, a condition where a baby's neural tube fails to develop normally, causing damage to the spinal cord and bones of the spine. Alex's mother, Tamara Brown, has 3 other children, all of whom have no birth defects. But from Alex's birth, Tamara was determined that he would be given the same opportunities.
I want Alex to have a good education. No matter if anything happened to me tomorrow, I want him to have a good education. Can't complain, the children, the teachers love him a lot.
It's fun having Alex around, even though sometimes it's like he's not even there. He's so quiet, he's so obedient, and he gets along well with his peers.
Parenting a child with disabilities like Alex's takes extra special loving care.
I have to make sure, go to school, eat, because Alex is a very sick child. Alex has high blood pressure, he has a kidney problem, so I have to take antibiotic every day, I have to take mineral oil every day.
It means Tamara has to be at school with Alex for the entire school day on many occasions, as there are times when he doesn't have an assigned special needs assistant.
We are always here for Alex's mom and for Alex. She has been a strong parent though, doesn't complain a lot, but we have been there in support, maybe for lunch or any advice that she would need. So she has been a great parent. Alex's mother, she never gives up. She really wants the best for her child, and she should be commended for actually fighting to get the best in life for Alex. And we're happy he's a part of us.
I would like to work with computer when I grow up.
Antonika Gunter-Gale, Director of the Early Stimulation Program in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, works closely with parents of children like Alex, especially in the early stages.
Parents, guardians, caregivers of children with disabilities face a number of issues. Financial, is one of them. When you take, for instance, sometimes a child with special needs go beyond the years of using diapers, they have to take soft food So that means, you know, the blending, the buying of certain food items, you know. So there are a number of challenges. Medication, you think about appointments. The child needs to go to the hearing, you know, specialist. The child needs to go to the audiology. The child needs to go to various appointments. And it does take cash, you know, to care on the part of the parent for persons who don't understand that this is a child with special needs, and the child, you know, act up in the public, screaming, shouting, hyperactive, a child with autism, you know, very antisocial, not getting on like his peers. These things can really cause much stress to the parents of children with disabilities.
But you might ask, how can a regular parent afford all these expenses? And are there any existing support programs for parents of children with disabilities?
There are a number of support through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, under which this program falls, the Early Stimulation Program. A mother, guardian, who really cannot find the wherewithal to care. You have support in terms of intervention. You have financial assistance in terms of a rehabilitation grant that is offered through the ministry for parents or guardians of children with special needs. You have the Jamaica Council for persons with disabilities that also offer support and financial assistance for, you know, starting up your own business, advice, and, you know, that sort of a thing. So there are a number of areas. We have the PAT program that assists with adaptive aids, you know, such as hearing aids, walkers, wheelchairs, medication.
For parents who, like Tamara Brown, are unable to maintain regular jobs as a result of having to be with their disabled children at home or school, the Early Stimulation Program guides them to numerous entrepreneurship opportunities.
We have parents, for example, a simple thing as making soaps, different soaps, putting together, you know, soaps that is tested and passed, approved through the Bureau of Standards, you know, selling soaps. So we have mothers doing phone cards. We have parents doing their little craft at home, rearing chickens at home, doing eggs, you know. So there are a number of areas while taking care of the child at home, the parent could do.
For more information, you may contact the Early Stimulation Program at 95 Hanover Street, Kingston. Call them at 922-5585. Children with special needs need extra special parents.
As we conclude today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, we hope you found these features informative and engaging. Stay connected with JIS through our website at jis.gov.jm and on social media. On behalf of the production team, my name is Theodore Henry, wishing you a fantastic weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.